Not a trans man. 6'2" tall here. And tool. So, been listening to a lot of spaces today, and wanted to talk about. I'll turn this down a bit. You can hear me actually. You know what I mean? Wanted to talk about personal responsibility and the nuclear family, and how those two kind of coincide, and why it's so critical for there to be two parents, a man and a woman. Not a trans man and a trans woman, but a man and a woman uh, that can help guide, uh, your child or children, depending on where you're at in life. I really hope that many of you decide to have multiple children because they truly are a distinct blessing to your life, and they can really teach you a whole lot, not just about them, but about yourself. And I know that's that kind of corny and cliche and all that stuff because you hear it in your own life, but it's 100% totally true. Um, I think I think that there's a serious, and goes beyond um, this goes beyond like race. It goes beyond gender. Um, I believe that there is a serious lack of uh, responsibility on the part of both men and women in today's society and what they value and how they value it. Hold on, dude. I'll get you. I'm going past a cop right now on this highway, so I don't want to get pulled over by touching my phone and shit. So give me a second, and then I'll let you come in. Because there was a crazy wreck that happened over here, and to make sure everybody was safe. Here we go. Here we go, man. I'll make you a co-host too.
What up, bro?
What up, dude? No,
You was in this motherfucker just talking, bro. You ain't got a motherfucker. You can wait till people come in. Let me go holler at Schmeek. I know you're gonna have this bitch up for 2 seconds and close it.
no. I actually was just gonna rant on this one. If nobody came in, because I'm recording this one.
For
So
sure.
usually, if I record them, then I won't. I'll let them go on for like 20 or 30 minutes minimum.
Yeah,
But
man. Kabosh fucking internet, bro. I hate going to his spaces. It's fucking always in that way, bro. He need to let me just host the spaces from now on, bro.
well,
He ruined a good conversation.
he didn't let me be a speaker.
So I tried to add you up. Nah, I told him. He said, yeah. Then he asked where you went. I think he
No,
was
no,
trying
no.
to
I came
co-host you.
in. I came in, and then it kept flipping me, and it flipped me all the way back to listener.
Nah, because he was trying to co-host you. I told him to co-host you, and he said okay. Yeah, he was
Okay.
looking for you. Look, I messaged
Yeah,
him. He was like,
I was in there.
"Did
I
I see
listened
you?"
to it. Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
"I
I
said we
was.
got like 3 people in a request co-host Smeagol," and he was like, "Okay, where's Smeagol?" Yeah, he didn't see you. I think you had left after that. He was trying to co-host, and you know how this shit be tripping sometimes. He probably fucking kicked you down or some shit trying to add you. That shit be acting stupid. That's why the space ended because his fucking phone just be acting dumb.
No, but it's fine. Twitter's been acting up a little bit lately, though. I will say that.
Facts.
We're
They need some better
like
fucking
cut.
engineers on this shit.
Well, they need. Well, it's their data. To be honest, There's so much more traffic too. That's on the thing.
Facts. Yeah,
So,
you in
but
Cali, right? I heard the Cali traffic was crazy.
yeah, it's crazy out there. But but no, man. I I was listening to those spaces, and it's like I think you started bringing it up because I messaged you, And you talked like a couple things about it, but man, there is like there's zero personal responsibility whatsoever with people. Like it's always a system. It's always that somebody did this to me, somebody did this to us. It's like, dude, like you who decided to smoke the crack?
Right.
Like 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 did the CIA put a gun to your head and force you to smoke crack?
Right. Right.
No? Okay. Like did someone like force I mean, and maybe you might get forced to like sell crack, but but
But
is somebody doing that to you in your
you're
community?
forced
I mean,
circumstantially, kind of in a way. But this is the thing, right? There's plenty of other avenues, other than selling crack. But
exactly.
the issue is this, right? And I think, because I mean, I don't want to keep like alleviating responsibility to the women, but I mean, just honest, like most of these black women, they don't want to be, building up with a black man. So that's the reason why McDonald's workers get shitted on until they get themselves together. Meanwhile, drug dealers, they get promoted to the forefront and have the pick of the litter with these women. That's because they got quick, fast money at a short time. But that shit, it runs dry eventually. You know.
Well, check this out though, right? So the cycle has now become in the black community to where the the women are raising the children. So all these women were bitching about all these men, but who raised those men?
Yeah, it's the women, bro.
The
That's what I
women
was
did.
saying. Like,
So
yeah,
now all these men are quick to anger. What's a woman? Is a woman quick to anger? Real men are not quick to anger. They are smooth, cool, calm, collective customers. And so all these women are quick to anger, quick to use fists, quick to hit, quick to yell. And that you're raising a bunch of men, a bunch of feminine men who then go out into the world and then they overreact to all their surroundings. And so they
facts.
act out, they lash out, just like a woman does.
Yeah, that's
So
why I kept
like all
saying
these women keep
that's why I kept saying that the violence that you see in the black community is not an example of toxic masculinity. It's an example of toxic femininity. That's a feminine trait. And me as a man, if I dressed you in a certain type of way, I understand that there's a threat of violence there that could be had, right? Women don't usually have that. They tend to go through life getting away with shit that men would probably be killed for. So when you see these men
yeah.
doing these things, they're just mimicking what they saw from their mom. And that's not attributed to masculinity at all. That's more feminine than anything.
Yeah, it's totally feminine. And then the other side to this is that um we if you see it in life, right? Like all these I mean, all these black women were talking about these white men. They, everyone acts like there's like just all these rich white men everywhere. Like, dude,
Exactly.
like dude, it doesn't exist. like, like men like me don't really exist out in the world. Like, go meet real people in the real world. They over exaggerate what they do and who they are all the time. And this, most of them are not like there's only like 1% of 1%, and it's a small fraction of people that are out in this life, in this world. And this idea that it's like, that black men, white men, Mexican men aren't average, or that there's all these rich white men that have all their shit together. It's not realistic.
Exactly.
they maybe it's because they're not maybe they just see the stuff on TV and
Yeah,
they don't
that's what it
actually
is.
interact with like are they actually going out into the white neighborhoods and white bars where whites go around? They'd be flabbergasted to find out what rural white America looks like if they were to actually go there and see that it's not so different than the shit that they're living in.
Exactly.
Like people don't really around the whole world don't really live too differently from what I mean. We've been afforded a lot of really great things in this country to be able to live. But if you look at like rural USA and then you look at, except for like except for some of these like farmers that have been growing food for a long time. By the way, they don't make a lot of money like it's made out to be. Their land is worth a lot, but they don't make a lot of money. they literally just break even for most of the time, unless like you're a major super farmer that owns like 20 or 30,000 acres. You're like that's like a generational wealth type of family, but most of them own like 500 to 1,000 and can barely break even on that kind of land. And so unless you actually like talk to farmers and talk to people that live out there, and most of the time, if you're in rural America, you're living like in a trailer or you're living in some broken down house, and it's not too different than the Section 8 housing that blacks are in and the type of living conditions. And a lot of them, blacks might be up on crack and heroin, and you know what, whites are going to be up on meth and heroin. It's it's shocking to hear some of these people in these spaces and act like, well, you're white, you fumbled the bag. Like, have you been to a rural school before and seen these fucking hillbillies? Like, have you like talked with them and what these people do and who they are in their life? They're not so different than you. It's just that there's this so like in the white community, you have either really, really smart, intelligent whites, or you have like really, really slow, fucking retarded whites. And that's just like, that's why the IQ averages out to like 108, 110 for whites, because you end up having a whole bunch of fuckers that are like 70s and 80s. And then you have a whole bunch of fuckers that are like 130s, 150s, 160s.
Yeah.
But people don't look at it that way. They don't see life like that because they stay in their bubble. They stay in their little community. And I don't. I talked about this in the space the other day. I just traveled all the way to Washington D.C.
And that's where
And
I'm at.
then
Next time y'all hit, man, shit, hit me. I will get a beer or something.
yeah, dude. And then
Listen.
the other thing too is I was over and I was in Pittsburgh, you know, and I was in Cleveland. I go to all these places, dude. I go to all these places. I travel from point A to point B, and I go. So it's all around the country, and I'll be in South Carolina next week. Um, and I've been to, I mean, I've been everywhere. I actually feel safer. I got robbed almost in a small town one time by
For real?
yeah, by this on a it was this rural small town with this black dude on a bicycle, and he came up and he tried to steal some shit out of the back of my truck. He couldn't carry it though on the bike because it was too heavy. So he dropped the shit and just left. But it was like hilarious. I'm like, holy fuck! And I thought it would be like some little small town. I'm good, looked okay. And then I've been in the middle of big fucking cities like Cleveland, like DC, and I'm fine. I'm good around all sorts of black people and Mexicans and all sorts of different people from foreign countries, especially if you're in DC, and felt felt fine and relaxed even at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and out and about. And that, by the way, that was in broad daylight when that happened down in South Carolina. So, right in front of the police station, there was a post office. I had to mail something, and I
Yeah,
had,
that's crazy.
and then there's the police station, and the post office literally right next to each other. And this motherfucker, and the road was in between them. And the motherfucker came up while I was in the post office and tried to rob me. It's pretty funny. I
So
mean,
he
I
ran in the post
respect.
office and tried to rob you while he was in the post
No,
office?
no, I was in the post office, and then he went into the back of my truck because the back of my truck, the lift gate was like the gate was open, like it was unlocked. I hadn't locked that part, and
Oh,
because
okay.
I forgot to, and he opened it up and he started trying to get the shit out of there as I walked out, and then I hit the button, and then he like freaked out, and then he got on his bike and left.
Nah, that
Like
shit crazy right there, bro. What the fuck? Like, how
I'm
you.
telling you, man,
Man.
like it was one of the stranger things I've ever seen, and the fact it was in broad daylight was even crazier. But um, you know, it it just and I got crazy stories about getting, shotgun pulled out on me in, the
For real?
hills of Kentucky. Yeah, in the hills of Kentucky by a white guy.
Country ass
So
white
it's
guy
not
pull a shotgun out.
well because he was a moonshiner,
Oh, okay.
and so he didn't know me, and I was just trying to sell. I was trying to sell product to him because he was, he owned a couple different businesses in my industry, and so who the fuck are you? I'm just a sales guy. I put my hands up.
And
I'm
he pulled
like,
a shotgun out like try to blow your
yeah.
shit off.
He's like, what are you selling? I sell this, this, and this. I just didn't know if you needed it. I heard you had this as your business. Yeah, why didn't you say so? Why you had a fucking shotgun?
Right.
So, nah, man, it's just
Right,
so
moonshine is crazy though. I seen a documentary about that shit. That
it's
shit's
real.
crazy.
It's 100% real. So, but this is it is what like that's why I hear a lot of these people talk, and I'm like, do you like ever do you leave your city? Do you leave your block? Like, do you leave your little community at all? Like, it's such a big world, and it's like you have at some point you have to have a personal responsibility to yourself to not be so ignorant about everybody else out here, and everybody has problems. And just because you're rich doesn't mean that you don't have problems and that things can't happen to you. Hell, I almost died. I was 3 weeks in the hospital with a chest tube in me. Like everybody has problems, and this idea that somehow, some way, like you know, that oh well, this is the system, and I get it. Like there's shit against you, and there's shit against everybody, and everyone's gonna have some individual story that they're gonna be able to tell about, how they might have been oppressed, or what was going on in their life and why they couldn't do this or couldn't do that. And it's like it, but you know what? You still have choices, and unless you're in a situation where like somebody forced you to do something, then it's your choice, and
Yeah.
it's a whole different perspective. And I think the statistics bear Moynihan report. Like, here's a choice that black women and black men do have. Like, they do have a choice on whether or not they want to stay together and have the nuclear family,
All right.
and have and black women before the 1960s, before the civil rights movement, and before Lyndon B. Johnson put out all the welfare programs intended for basically for blacks. And before that all happened, like it was the same as whites. 90% of marriages, 95% of marriages stayed together, no divorce. It wasn't until after that took place and you started seeing the heroin epidemic, that it wasn't just in black America, it was also in white America. It's not like whites weren't taking drugs too back then. Um, that completely ravaged the like a whole bunch of households. Right now, uh, it's ravaging white households today, not as at the same type of rate and clip like it does for single mothers in the black community, but you're seeing the after effects now with all these kids wanting to be LGBTQ. You're seeing all these after effects with people not people thinking that it's the collective, that they're owed something, that somebody else had it way better than what they did, and so you owe them something to their life. And it's like life was never fair. Nobody was ever going to give anybody anything. It's never been that way, that somebody was just, unless you're in the top 1% of 1% of families like the Hilton family, right? Or, some generational wealth family, okay, where you were given something, then you're going to probably have to, like the other 99% of us had to work for our money and to get there, right? Like, but now and by the way, now there are actual like black athletes and black entertainers, whether they're actors or they're musicians or they're whatever, that are now making actual generational wealth. Like LeBron is worth $1 billion, for Christ's sake. Like It doesn't get any more generational wealth than that, and it's going to go to his
Yeah, yeah. How
sons.
long will that shit last? Though is the question.
Well,
You know.
okay, but dude, it's $1 billion. So here's the deal. Here's how this ends up playing out. What they do is they put them in a trust, right? And so they're only going to be able to take out a certain amount of money out of the trust that those children are going to be able to take. Okay, and then he's going to gift it to his grandchildren that they intending to get the money that they have to have grandchildren. Okay, and then that's a trust for those children, and then there's gonna be another trust that will be made that will be only done that money will only be allowed to be opened up by a fourth generation, by his great grandchildren, and that's how real, like, you want to talk about like the real generationally wealthy people in the world. That's how they give out their money. They don't, like, the ones that just feel bad and are kind of liberal, because there are a lot of people that make a lot of money. They're just not conservative. A lot of them are liberal and they have these crazy ideas and they just came up with a wacky, crazy idea and it worked out. And they make a lot of money and then they just give everything away to their kid that's a drug addict or whatever. And then they lose it all, right? You hear those stories. But most of them that are really smart and that want to have ancestral generational wealth and have learned from other people that have done this for other families, right? Now, LeBron had all those white people taking care of his money and taking care of his investments. They've all bunch of rich financial advisors have been taking care of LeBron, and those parents that basically adopted him when he was like 14, like they that have helped him out, where all of his friends are. Because if you look at who he hangs out with, it's a bunch of white people. You'd be like, what the fuck? Go look
Right.
at the pictures. It's all a bunch of white dudes. And it's like
Yeah,
this
but
dude is like 35. It's like a guy that's like his age. He's like 38, 39. It's this white guy that has basically invested his money and helped him become a billionaire and helped him save his money and helped him to go into all these other like not for profit funds and everything. And so that's how they're going to end up setting up for his family. And obviously, he'll go on and he'll start doing other ventures and other things, and that will be money that will come in. But you'll see like actual like trust funds and things that are in there in these grandchildren's and great grandchildren's names, and they'll get like 50 million, $100 million, and it'll
right.
only open up every 30 years, every 50 years.
No.
That's how the big that's how the people that are worth a ton of money, and then what they do while that's in there is they have like this advisor that gets to control the money and gets to put it into the investments. And so that's over the fund, that's over the trust. And that person's allowed to like dip in and out on that stuff and put it wherever they want to do it. And as long as that money is still attached into the trust and they're allowed to have control over it. So that money will start collecting. Like they'll put it like right now you can collect like 3.5% interest. So if he puts like 100 million in the bank, he can collect 3.5% interest in a year, 3.5 million for doing nothing with it.
Just letting this shit sit there.
Just letting the shit sit there, and in 10 years, he'll make he'll make 35, $50 million by having
Let me
that
ask you a
money.
question. So, how do you feel about letting money sit in stocks over letting
Oh,
it
it's
sit in the bank?
beautiful. Listen, it depends on what your outlook is and what kind of stock that you're investing in. Like, if you had taken, like, let's take for instance like Apple, right? Let's take for instance like in 1995 when Apple was $2 a share. If you'd invested like $1,000 in it, and you would have 500 shares, that shit would be worth like $10 million today because of all the reverses and everything that's happened with it. So if you look at, if they're going to still continue to print money, which means that the cost of goods is always going to continue to rise, which means that the cost of assets is going to continue to rise. And What's an asset? The stocks are assets, you know, and price as well with inflation. And so and they're not stopping anytime soon with printing more money and basically raising up our debts. And so it's going to cost. So basically, all these like stock prices will just keep on inflating, in perpetuity. Now, unless they go back to a gold standard or they stop spending money and they balance the budget, then yeah, okay, then the stock price will go down. But that's not happening anytime soon. And we saw this with the stock market even in the 1980s, even with higher interest rates, the stocks went up in price. And that's because they were asset classes and they, so even even with all of that being said, they if you go ahead put your money into a company that you really like and want to invest in and you believe there's a future to it, then you should invest in it. And if it just so happens to go bankrupt and you get screwed over, I mean, that can happen. But 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
that's probably not going to happen. And whatever stock that you're going to be in there in 10 years, it's going to be worth double or triple or quadruple what it is today.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking. I was asking, would you support placing your money in the stock market and letting it sit there over letting that shit sit in the bank where it doesn't, you know what I'm saying,
Well,
add any value?
well, depending on what kind of like fund or what you're doing with it. So like, um, depends on like what your risk factor is. So if I can make 5%, right? If I can make 5% on my money and have that as compounding interest over 10 years, then the amount of money
Yeah,
then I have no risk of it fluctuating up and down for a stock or to go bankrupt or anything like that. But
yeah,
so it's like being in like a municipal bond. It's the reason why investors buy municipal bonds because once they mature, they have to pay you 4%. That's it. What? So if you put $100 million in there, they're going to pay you out 4% on that, guaranteed. So there's no risk
yeah,
to it, and it happens over like a 3 or 5 year period whenever the bond matures, and they pay you back that money on like a AAA rated bond. So if it's a county, if it's a state, if it's a the federal government, they're going to pay you back that money. So that's
mm-hmm.
so there's like different risk factors. There's different things to all of that as well. But like if I look at it today, um, there was a ton of stocks that were like 6 months ago. They were great buys,
Yeah.
Genius Brands. Genius Brands was
What's that?
$35 a share.
What's
GNS,
Genius Brains?
GNS. It was $35 a share. It went all the way down to 30 cents a share. Dude, I bought some just because I was like, holy shit! If it goes bankrupt, then I lose like 10 grand. But if it doesn't and it goes back up, man, I'm gonna make a shitload of money. So I have like 30,000. I have
Yeah.
30,000 share, or it's like 30,000 shares of Genius Brands, and it's at $7 a share now. Yeah,
Damn.
and I think it's gonna go like to 20 or 30 again. So, but
And then you're gonna put. So when you gonna pull out, or you
no,
don't
you
pull
don't
out?
pull out. just just like if you want to have a kid, you don't pull out, man. If you want this kid, you don't pull out. Okay.
No, I'm saying like, are you gonna pull out? So like, because my understanding, you pull out when you feel like it's reached its peak,
Yeah, well,
right?
and I don't feel like it's reached it. Yeah, so like, and that's a different risk factor for everybody. So for me, I
Yeah.
believe that it's going to go up higher, and that money was just like that 10 grand was play money. I didn't
Yeah.
really.
You was like, fuck
That's
it.
how I viewed it.
Let me try it real quick.
I was like, fuck it, and then I ended up making, as of right now, I'm like up like $190,000. So, but like again, and I view that is going to be a longer term deal. And if I feel like now, if there's a better stock that I feel like I can go make a trade on, then I'll go pull it out and then I'll go put
Yeah.
it in that. But right now, I don't feel like there's a better trade that's actually to go
Man,
trade.
that shit like gambling on FanDuel, man. That shit like gambling on
Well,
FanDuel.
but it's gambling with but like I know what the, but again, like I get to do more research. I get to look at all these different factors, like, and
Yeah,
I get to kind of understand how the market is playing out. Now, and they're not all going
yeah.
to do like 21, go up 20, 21 times.
Of course not. Yeah,
But there are but there's a lot of stocks like Tesla. Like if you bought
yeah,
Tesla when it was at $86 a share, it hit 190. So you'd have doubled your money in the last 2 months if you would have bought Tesla.
yeah.
Same thing on Facebook. Facebook is up double from the bottom. Nvidia is up double from the bottom.
What the hell was
So,
Nvidia? What's that?
they make semiconductor microchips. It's how the whole world goes.
Okay.
Yeah, the semi. So they ever hear about like microchips, right? That you
Yeah,
put into like a computer or you put into your iPad.
yeah.
Yeah, they make. That's what they make. They make those.
So they responsible. Okay. Yeah, no,
So
that's
like that.
crazy, bro.
That like literally the microchip world is what dictates um,
Everything.
it dictates everything that we do today and what the rest of the market is going to look like. So, like they said, they're still going to have supply chain problems until 2025. So I know that we're going to have problems as a country and as an economy until minimum 2025 because semiconductors are hard to manufacture right now because of raw materials.
Who invented the microchip?
Oh God, I don't know who invented it. It was I think it was it, I believe that the first work on that stuff was like done here and in Japan. And then basically a whole bunch of these Japanese companies started outsourcing to Taiwan back in like the late 70s, early 80s because they had already expanded their economy. And in fact, one of the guys I had worked with in manufacturing, he was one of the very first semiconductor makers actually. Like he started a company doing that and then he sold it. And then he ended up making like a whole nother one. I'm not gonna dox who the guy is, but like he's worth like he's an Asian guy that's worth over 150 million dollars. But that's you know he made all his he came from Japan and over to here and to go work on stuff. But anyway, no, it's the microchips, how that all plays out, what that looks like for the economy. It's it, yeah, it's gonna be fierce what the economy is about to look like over the next 6 months, and it's gonna hurt for a lot of people. And I think that's why we're seeing so many of these like reparations spaces, and you see so many people be angry. It's not just black people being angry. There's a lot of like anger issues that are going on Twitter in a lot of these spaces amongst everybody. And I think this economy is really playing into the hands of that. And I can sense it and I can feel it out here whenever, I was out and about too. When I was in DC, when I was in Cleveland, when I was in Pittsburgh, you just kind of feel it when you're there that it's not right and people are struggling and from all backgrounds of life. And it's sad for me to see because I'm doing really well, and I try to do motivational stuff. I try to uplift people every day, um, and it's a struggle for me, man. Like to just want to get up and say some of this stuff, like be motivational because I see how hard it is for people out here. It really, truly is, and it hurts me. It's why I give money. That's why I've been giving my money away. So I've been giving it away. So you back, man?
Phone call.
Yeah, it's all good. But no, man, like I said, it's I feel it out here. I really do, and I feel a lot of pain for a lot of people, and it is tough. It's tough for me. That's like I said. That's why, like people would say, "Oh, you're just like this white supremacist, and you're this and you're that." I'm like, dude, you don't even like. I probably give it more to black causes than what all of you combined have.
Man, fuck them black causes
like
though,
they,
bro. Them black
when they,
causes, they be
no, no. Well,
finessing
listen,
motherfuckers.
it's not about. So whenever I give to a charity
Yeah,
or I give to an organization, I don't give based off of like because the one guy was like, "Oh, you're remember like yesterday." He's like, "Oh, well, you're having to like it. Oh, how did he say it? Um, oh, like, oh, your redemption. Like, you have to redeem yourself. It's like, motherfucker, my family never owned any slaves, motherfucker.
yeah.
I don't have any redemption
Didn't you
arc in
say
my
you
whole
came here
life.
like after the 19, like in the 1800s, like after slavery or some shit?
Yeah, my family were poor. Like my whole on both sides, they're poor fucking immigrants, man. They were like the one side was indentured servants, and the
I
other
believe it.
side wasn't. But they, it was a shitty ass life, and they came here. You know, but it and it was shitty for a long time. It's not like, oh, after one generation it was great. No, it took like three fucking generations, man. But uh no, I just I look at people's stories. And so there's like I invest like when you go to give to a charity or an organization, you're investing in people. And so you want to hear what the story of those people are. And that's what I base mine off of. I don't base it off of like, oh, I got white guilt. I don't have any white guilt about anything. Like I've had to work hard in my life for everything. And I lived in the fucking ghetto for years in a 500 square foot coffin. All right. And it doesn't mean, hey, I understand what it's like to be fucking this or fucking that. But what I can say is I know what it's like to be fucking poor. And after doing that for a couple years, I was never going to fucking be poor again. Fuck that. And so that's why I tell my story. And like for me personally, yeah, I initially fumbled the fucking bag. You guys talked about fumbling the bag. Me, from my background, for what I am and how intelligent I am and all the things, I fumbled the fucking bag from the get go badly. I hung out with a lot of people I should have never hung out with. Period. Even though they were a lot of fun, and some of them are in the NFL, and some of them are in the NBA, and they're still in the NFL and NBA. But like, yeah, did I fumble the fucking bag? Yeah, I fumbled it. And then guess what? I paid the price. I paid the fucking price. And um, I ended up living in I lived in shit. I lived in this little coffin and I could barely afford it. And but I had a good woman that was next to me. And this is the different experience than what a lot of black men have. My woman stood next to me. She stood next to me even though I was worth nothing.
And that's what it's about, brother. When you got a bunch of blood sucking, money hungry fucking bed wenches, you know, it makes it hard. I don't think women understand how fundamental they are to the psyche of a man, But black women feel like as a man you should pay for that. But meanwhile in the process they'll still have his kids. It's like ridiculous, bro. It's like it's fucking crazy. It doesn't make sense. Like
No,
that's
and then
backwards as shit.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Well, and like I said, I got lucky, you know, that basically the woman that became my wife ended up supporting me, and
Yeah.
she supported me through the whole thing, and also too, it's like understanding like what your value is. Like
Mhm.
if you're in your 20s, then you're like peak value as a woman,
Yeah.
and she understood that, and she wanted to stay by me even though I wasn't worth shit,
Yeah.
and she still did that. And so guess what? The reward is that even though she's hit the fucking wall, guess what?
Yeah.
I stay by her and I stay loyal because she was loyal to me when she didn't have to be.
Yep.
And that's what has been lost in all. And that's not just like a black community thing. That's like across the fucking board thing. That's been lost about
Loyalty,
loyalty,
bro.
and
Right.
so. I mean, it doesn't, dude. I could have like slayed so many different hoes out here. Tens, my
Yeah.
super like fucking super I mean, dude, I got a fucking supercar. I can get a supermodel. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck that though.
So
Listen, bro. Your woman was by you when you had nothing. She showed you her
that's
allegiance to you.
that's
That's what it's
it.
about,
That
bro.
so like go look at like even like LeBron. I mean, that one chick was saying, well, LeBron fucks like white girls. Okay,
I'm
well,
like,
guess
fuck
what?
it.
All right, listen. Like, there's a like. Here's the difference. She knew what she was getting into when she was with
Hmm.
LeBron,
Yeah.
and knew that he. But guess what? Who are his kids with? Does he have little bats out there?
Yeah, he ain't married to her.
Okay,
Nope.
that's all. So, and are his other three kids with her? Yeah. Is there anybody else? No. Okay. Then she just needs to shut the fuck up because that's how those types of relationships are.
Yeah,
I mean,
most of
that's
those
just
rich men. Yeah, like most of those fucking rich men are cheating on their wives.
and that's
You
not
know.
and again, that's not like a
Yeah.
people. That's not a black or white or Mexican
Yeah.
or
This is a
Asian thing.
fucking
That's a fucking
rich.
rich
I
thing.
can do what I
Yeah,
fucking want to do thing.
that's called being an alpha because they don't. Andrew Tate, he was like, "Do you think that when a black billionaire and a white billionaire get together, they talk about race, or do you think they talk about making fucking money?"
Right.
And
That's what it's
and do you
about.
think they talk about like, oh, all these hoes or whatever? No. And I
Yeah.
already know like Dana White, like that motherfucker, like his wife was pissed at him probably because he knows he's cheating on her.
Yeah.
And but she knew what she was into. It's not like she didn't buy the fucking
Yeah.
Lamborghini and
Most
didn't.
those women be knowing they just mad at to get out and they get embarrassed. That's the thing. It's not even about cheating, bro. When their friends find out they talk shit, that's what it's
Yeah,
about.
they
It's
get
really
embarrassed about it, and
yeah.
because well, Becky said this or Shaniqua said that. It's like, no, bitch,
Exactly.
shut the fuck up. Did you like that fucking Prada bag I got you? Now shut the fuck
Exactly.
up.
How about that fucking Porsche? Huh?
How
How
about
about that?
the new fucking house?
Because
Are you
guess
about
what?
to go to
Becky and
the
Shanice, faithful man, ain't bought them shit. You know.
no? And guess what? Do I still come to home to you at night? Yeah, okay, then shut the fuck up. Like,
Exactly, bro.
and that's what Dana White was basically saying, you know. And
Yeah.
and it's and it's brutal, right? And it's true because here's the other thing too. They may have, and I've seen this happen with really really rich white dudes that have wives, and they're like at first they're very loyal. A lot of them are very loyal to their wife because they
Yeah.
did help them. But what ends up happening is like what happened with like Jeff Bezos. I guarantee you, Jeff Bezos' wife cheated on his.
For sure.
And so, because he was a squirmy little dude, and then it comes out that he's cheating. Did she raise a huge fuss?
Fuck knows.
No, no, she didn't. And then when she wanted half, he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem."
Just
And
take it.
it was because she had been cheating on him for years, and he never said
Exactly.
shit. And then she realized it, and then she gave all the money away. It's because she felt fucking bad because she took that money, she didn't earn it, and she was cheating on his ass, and that's why she fucking gave all the shit away.
Yeah,
Period.
everybody knew she was cheating on him. I mean, you can look at that shit and see.
Yep, and it's like, and it doesn't mean that her family all helped him out to make that business,
Hmm.
and he was gone long hours, and so to start it and to have all that stuff done, and he's still stuck by her side, even though he knew all this bullshit. And I've seen, dude, I know this personally with men that have had this happen to them, and then they have like 20 years worth of marriage, and then they end it when the kids are all grown up. They end
Hmm.
it, and
And that's what I was
it's
gonna say in the other space that a lot of white people when they in their families, it's like once the kids are grown and shit. A lot of divorces in the white family, like once the kids grown, not like why they fucking
no, it's too
children.
damaging to the kid to
Yeah.
have it done at like 5 or 6 years old with
Yeah.
dad not there. Like, no, you know what, man? Like, any of these like crazy women in any of these spaces that try to like ridicule you, it's like, dude, you like have your kid in the bathroom, like you're taking
Facts.
care of your kid, like bro, like how many, like if someone's gonna ridicule me, ridicule someone, it should be me. Like I'm away from my kids like half the week, you
Man.
know. Well, this month I'm traveling a lot, right? But like then I'll have a month when I don't travel at all, but I miss. But that's the
Mhm.
sacrifice that I make, and I've talked
Yeah.
about this in other space. It's a sacrifice to make that kind of money. So is that woman willing to have those sacrifices?
And that's the thing, like, and when you got a woman that's down, she's gonna make sure that your house is upholding the values that you instill in while you're gone. You can't do that with a woman who's competing with you for dominance in the household, you know?
No, you can't. And
Yeah.
also, too, a woman has to be able to step back and let you lead. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really what the job is. And that's these, and particularly black women. And I will say it's not just black women; it's now white women have too, a bunch of fucking Karens. But they're not letting their men lead,
Nope.
and they think that they're going to be a man, and they're not men. And this is why we have
Right.
these little boys out here that I will crush in business
Mm-hmm.
because they've been raised by a bunch of women, and I was raised by a man, and that's like the majority. Like it's not fair for me, and it won't be fair for my kids. Like my sons and my daughters, dude. It's not gonna like they're not gonna comprehend the rest of this fucking world.
Yeah.
They're not gonna get it, dude, because they're gonna be like, why is he moaning and whining and complaining about all this stuff? Look what he's got.
Yep.
Well, look at it. Does he have a daddy? No. Okay, that was it. There you go. No daddy. No
Yep.
daddy. So that's really sad.
And that's the underlying issue of it all. I mean, we
It
can sit here
is.
and complain about white supremacy all day. I mean, I won't say that there's no element of like white supremacy at all. But man, the main thing is the nuclear family, bro.
How
Like
about dad? How about dad supremacy? There is
exactly.
no.
We
Where's that
need
at?
that supremacy. Yeah, bro.
Where's dad supremacy at? It's
You know what?
gone.
I know y'all don't like this guy, but Jordan Peterson spoke about that. We got a bunch of devouring mothers out here ruining these little boys, bro, and the children in general, even the girls. I mean,
I
look at the
know.
women that the fucking what are they, the Zoomers or the
Oh my
Boomers fucking
god,
raised,
dude.
bro. They raised a bunch of egotistical, toxic, feminine maniacs, bro,
Yeah,
who
you
complain
saw
about
that
everything.
IG reel today, didn't you?
Nah,
No, well, there was an IG reel that had that quote on it
nah.
today.
I told you I watched Joe Rogan. I seen the whole thing, you know.
Yep. No,
I love Joe Rogan, bro. I mean, I know a lot of America First people don't like him, but I love Joe Rogan
listen. I listen. I've been so I'm kind of
and Jordan Peterson.
well. So I've been around before any of those dudes like even were big. It was Alex Jones, and that's how I got.
Mm-hmm.
Back in '07, '08 is whenever I started listening to Alex Jones, and then he would have guys like Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz,
Yeah,
um,
Joey
and then
Diaz is a motherfucker. That's my
I
boy.
know he's great, and then he'd have them come in the studio, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it was great. It was great interactions. That's all before Joe got big, and you knew like why Joe was going to get big is because of these interactions that he would have with like Alex, and they were dynamic and they were great. But this is you can see with the way how these kids are and the way how they're growing up, like it is on a there's not a lot of dads, and by the way, the dads that are out there, a lot of them are a bunch of pussies. I mean,
Facts, bro. Bunch of
I
simp
hate.
ass dudes.
I mean, I really hate to say it. Like they
Mm-hmm.
get cucked out by their wife
Yeah.
all the time. Like especially, but there's some like around where I'm at because I'm more out in the country. It's not really that way. Like women tone it down. They let their men go out there, go lead, go do this, go do that. They let their men go do shit. And
Yeah.
but you go to some of these other places that like where I
Yeah.
travel to, man, it's all a bunch of women. It's like that ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck? It's
Mm-hmm.
just not gonna work. And this is why we have
Bruh.
a whole
But you know what though?
generation of simps.
And that's the thing, right? Because we can't keep blaming men for shit like that. It's like, bro, we live in a system where men are like chastised for everything. It's like you can't force these women to stay with you. You can't force anything. You can't really provide any type of real family structure. You have to meet a woman who genuinely cares about you and her family and the way that her family will be raised, and that's not the case with most of these women. They don't genuinely care about shit like that. They care about like how others feel about their family. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that, bro. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Well, because they look, dude. We live in an Instagram world. We live in a
Facts.
Facebook
Living
world.
an Instagram real.
Yeah, we no, but we kind of do like think of it like so. Like and I just saw this like study that that most couples, most families that don't share anything on Facebook or don't share really anything on Instagram will stay together more so than any of the couples that go on Instagram and they post everything and like of what they're doing. Like I post nothing with my wife and my kids. I post nothing. And like she will, but it might be like one picture and it's from like a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not actively going out there like making up like little photos and photo ops for to show off to the whole world, like, you know,
Yeah.
that we're this great family. I don't need to show off the whole fucking world that my family's great. I already know they are. I go hang out with them. And just like I am, you know, I'm
Yeah.
driving fucking 10 hours, 12 hours to fucking get home and go do that. So, like today, I'll end up driving 12 hours to go ahead and to, to get home, see them, and be with my family. And that's and that's been like long again. Like, and I understand people that like they drive a truck or that they have to travel for their work, like they have to, you know, do inspections or do audits or do whatever. I totally get that. That there's so many jobs and so many people have to travel, and like I'm one of them. And so it doesn't mean that you're going to spend all this time, but when you do spend your time with your kids and with your wife or your spouse or whoever, man, it better be with the intent that I'm not going to make it an Instagram reel. I'm going to make it time well spent. I'm going to turn off the phone, and we're going to go. You know, we're going to go to the bowling alley, or we're going to go hang out at the
Uh-huh.
you know, at a baseball game, football. You know, doing something with your kids, or maybe it's, you know, like actually playing out in the backyard
Uh-huh.
or at the, or you know, like some community center, whatever you can go do to go hang out with your kid, you should do that. For me, it's to go out in the backyard and go play soccer with them. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I get all of them back there because they're all old enough to walk and to run, and that I let the dog roam free. And we go back there and we go play, and I get out the soccer nets and we go play soccer, and it's a lot of fun. And that's what I do with them. And then we come inside and we hang out and we talk about the day, we talk about school, we talk about all those things, like having those conversations. And are you being good and kind to the other kids? By the way,
Yeah.
like this, it's like my kids are like, I predominantly grew up with having either white or black kids only. Predominantly white, except for whenever I went to the one middle school, it was like half black, half white. And then, which you would never know by the way how I talk on here, as I reveal more and more about myself. But um, but then and then going to a private white school basically. But my
Yeah.
kids will never have that. Like, dude, there's kids from like fucking like Bangladesh and from India and from all these other fucking countries and
I
shit.
believe it. Yeah.
All right, like this is why I don't, you know, and they're great kids and they don't, because of the community I live in, nobody acts the fuck up because they don't want to have it go to shit and have it go back to wherever the fuck they came from. And it's predominantly white in the area, even though there's a couple of these fucking people that they've let in. But this is why I look at it, it's such a, you know, it's not just a bad deal for the white kids. It's going to be a bad deal for any American kids, whether they were, you know, the Mexican American kid or the Black American kid or the
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Dude, anybody that's been here for like the last 50 or 100 years, it's going to fucking suck seeing all these other kids, a bunch of these Muslims or all these other kids from these trashy ass countries that are coming in, and they're not as smart as your kid. They're just not, dude. You're gonna find out your kid's really like your little girl, fucking out of this world smart, probably compared to you, and probably compared to most of these other fucking.
Bro might go out.
Literally gonna dumb down the whole fucking system even further by having these foreigners come in. And I like hate to say that, but it's fucking true. Like, it's true.
Man, see, the thing is, they want cheap labor,
I know they do.
and a lot of
That's
Americans, a lot of Americans complaining about the wages. So it's like if you got Americans complaining about low wages already,
why
who else is gonna do it?
it's in our best interest to have a fucking border wall and to not let motherfuckers in here. But these corporations, these large multinational
There you
corporations,
go.
don't give a fuck. They will see the whole fucking thing burn. Dude, this happened in China already 100 years ago. They did this in
Yeah,
China.
with the Japanese, right?
No, this was the